it's almost like a franchise, because there's like a how to topple a dictator, and they even have like a school.
They very much do, and the original title for the book was Revolution Inc. That was the one that I put it, like that was how I was, when I was trying to get people's attention with it, that's what I called it, was Revolution Inc. And that was the core story I wanted to tell. It was sort of, at the end of my 3+ years in Moscow, I said, you know, there's this one story that I knew was going on that I never got into the 1,000-word newspaper story. And it was just too complicated, too much of a conspiracy theory sounding sort of thing to get into the daily newspaper. So I kind of said, you know what, I'd love to just pursue this and tell that story. And then as I did that, it kind of grew because you had to put it in context. And the context is this resurgent and yet this resurgent Russia that's becoming more and more autocratic and trying to reassert itself in the former Soviet Union. And then there was the Americans pushing back. So when you pulled back the lens on this kind of great little, almost spy story, it became the new Cold War.
It's not black and white, though, because, I mean, there are some aspects to Putin taking firmer control after the mess that so-called democracy, which was just robber-baron capitalism, it seems, tainted the idea of democracy, so they're pulling back. But on the other hand, the Americans who are pushing democracy only do it where it's convenient.
Exactly, and people who read the book said, you don't really tell us what you think about this, and that was on purpose, because all I'm trying to do is tell, like I said, the story that I didn't tell before, and it is gray, and I'm not sure that neither side has the best interests of the people who live in these countries at heart. They're pushing their own very narrow interests. And what's interesting about Putin and the system he's created is, if you go around the country, if you do an opinion poll, even the opinion polls conducted with the opposition show that he's got 70% support. What he's done, taking away a lot of the democratic kind of space for politics, while at the same time just returning a level of stability to the whole system, is incredibly popular with Russians. And I think, at some level, perhaps that's democracy. On the other hand, the Americans, who are, they stand up in Georgia and Ukraine, as you said, for democracy when it suits their interests. But when they're, in their neighboring Azerbaijan, this is a great contrast that, again, kind of wasn't well understood. At the time of the Rose Revolution in Georgia, they decided that Edward Shevardnadze had, had overseen flawed elections and had to go. The fact that Edward Shevardnadze's job wasn't on the line doesn't seem to matter. Meanwhile, next door in Azerbaijan, there were much more autocratic regime, much more seriously flawed elections, but a regime that was cooperating with the Americans in their building of a major oil pipeline. So it just kind of went, they went tisk, tisk, tisk from the State Department, but there wasn't this effort. The whole Revolution Inc. machine didn't kick in.
So it's not all about oil this time.
No.
It's about oil and gas this time. I'm so relieved it's different.
It's not, and I didn't want, the title, It's All About Oil, we avoided that one. And it's not, I mean, to the people on the ground, and I guess I should make this clear, back into the greatest of it all, to the people who stood on the streets of Kiev, the streets of Tbilisi, they didn't stand on the streets, and they weren't paid to do this. They didn't do this because they wanted to see a pipeline flow reversed, or that they wanted to see the Americans control a gas field, or what have you. They did it for genuine reasons, and they believed in what they're doing. And a lot of people will be upset by this book for that reason. They're going to say, like, you made it sound like we were just puppets. You weren't. What I'm saying is that you were encouraged, and the people that were encouraging you to go into the streets were playing for one team or the other team. It's, I don't mean to take anything away from the Ukrainians who fought for the Orange Revolution and what they did. I just want to, like I said, draw back the lens, take a look at the context of it. Again, I'm not sitting here trying to cast all this as entirely nefarious. Just, my goal with this book was to to explain to the readers that the next time you see one of these colored revolutions on the streets, and there probably will be at least another one or two in the coming years, that it's not the spontaneous public, all of a sudden everybody rushes into the streets and says this is our moment. It's something that's well planned out in advance and well thought out and well funded. The other parallel story or story I wanted to tell in this book are these sort of Kremlin spin doctors who have created an entirely new system of governance that they call managed democracy, which is kind of a very weird term if you think about it. And they have, in recent years, started developing their own youth groups. There's one called Nashi that I chronicle in the book, which is very, the word Nashi just means ours, and it's very, plays to sort of the base nationalism that is rising in Russia right now. And they also, I saw this weekend, they had a group called the Young Guard that was pro-Putin, that was out in the streets marching against the democratic opposition. And you know, they're starting, they understand the power of this system that's been developed, and they're starting to use it in their own ways. And yeah, it may be, and that's why I think predicting what will happen in Russia in a year's time will be very, very difficult to do right now. It's predictable the opposition will take to the streets and try. Would they, you know, who will follow them? What, you know, how far will the authorities go to crack down? Or we look at, you know, Kiev 2004 or Tiananmen Square 1991, that sort of question.
The book is The New Cold War, Revolutions, Rigged Elections, and Pipeline Politics in the Former Soviet Union. I've been speaking with the author, journalist Mark MacKinnon, and The New Cold War, published by Random House of Canada.